Good day to our DepEd family, especially to our teachers and teacher broadcasters watching this episode. I am Bianca Manas of the BHROD Human Resource Development Division, and welcome to Episode 3 of the RPMS Philippine Professional Standards for Teachers School Year 2021 to 2022. For this episode, we will focus on first, the support materials on the RPMS-PPST, and then second, your frequently asked questions for the PPST implementation. So first, we will talk about the RPMS-PPST supplementary tools for school year 2021-2022. And starting off, as you can see on your screen, we have discussed these in detail in the past episode 2. Here are the RPMS-PPST tools for the highly proficient and proficient teachers. So this tool, we discussed it in detail. All 19 indicators of our regular teachers are included in these tools. And as a reminder again to everyone watching, the RPMS-PPST tools for the proficient and highly proficient teachers are to be used by our regular teachers and our part-time teacher broadcasters. In the same manner, we also presented to you the RPMS-PPST tools for our full-time proficient and highly proficient teacher broadcasters. So similar to the tool for regular teachers, these tools contain all 19 indicators plus the plus factor, objective 19, that our full-time teacher broadcasters will use for this school year. And again, even though we have part-time teacher broadcasters in the field, this tool, again, is specifically for our full-time teacher broadcasters or those that have official special orders or reassignment orders. Next of our tools is the classroom observation tool or the RPMS rubric. So in episode 2, whether it was the discussion on the regular teachers or our teacher broadcasters, the COT RPMS rubric was briefly explained, sampling it with a few of our indicators. So this rubric contains the performance continuum for each career stage. Specifically for our teachers 1 to 3, your performance continuum will cover levels 3 to 7, and the expected attained level for you is at least level 6 or the consolidating level. For our master teachers, so MT 1 to 4, your performance continuum will cover levels 4 to 8, and your expected attained level is at least level 7 integrating. So here on your screen, you will see a sample of our COT rubric. So again, this was explained to you or briefly explained to you in your respective episodes for the regular teachers and the teacher broadcasters. On top of your tool, you will see there the various or the performance continuum levels. Below those levels are the features of practice or the sample scenarios in which teachers will demonstrate a certain level of performance for a certain indicator. And below the tool is a clarifications portion wherein you will find terminologies that will further explain to you the terms that are mentioned in our indicators. So this tool again is mainly used by our raters, but again, if our ratees, our teachers would like to know more or understand better how each indicator should be demonstrated, then you may also refer to this tool. Next is the COT rating sheet. So this form lists all the indicators, specifically the classroom observable indicators in the COT RPMS tool. And this tool is used by the observer or your observers to indicate the rating or level attained in each indicator by the observed teacher or the ratee. For school year 2021 to 2022, there will be only a maximum of 2 classroom observation rating sheets to be submitted. Next tool is the COT observation notes form. This one is used by the observer or observers to take note of their specific observations and comments during the classroom observation. This is the only form that your observer or observers will bring and complete throughout the duration of the classroom observation. Last thing to note, This form serves as the final rating form in case there is only one observer. Next, you have here the COT Inter-Observer Agreement form, and this is used by observers during their inter-observer agreement exercise. So this one serves as the final rating form in case of multiple observers, as opposed to the previous form that I showed you, which is only used by a single observer. This one, the inter-observer agreement form, will be used if you have 2 or more observers present during your observation. So just to note, a reminder to our observers, to arrive at a final rating, each observer discusses and justifies the rating or ratings given to the observed teacher or the ratee. The final rating is not the average of the ratings given, but rather the rating agreed upon by all the observers. So the final rating must be unanimous. Next, the teacher reflection form or the TRF plus the TRF rubric. So if you can recall in our episode 2, regardless if you are a regular teacher or a teacher broadcaster, regardless if you are a highly proficient teacher or a proficient teacher, the TRF may be one of your MOVs, specifically for Objective 9 or Objective 10. So this TRF form is used by our teachers who, again, do not have learners with disabilities, giftedness, and talents as described in Objective 9, or if you do not have any learners from indigenous groups as described in Objective 10. On the right part of your screen, you have there the TRF rubric, which will be used by your raters as a guide in grading the TRF form which the ratee accomplished. So let's take a closer look at each of the forms. On your left, you have the teacher reflection form. So you will notice that on top of it, it will require you to answer some details. So your name, the name of your rater, the date you submitted this form, and the subject and grade level that you are teaching. At the bottom of those information being requested, you have there the the directions on how you will answer this reflection form. You can see there the objective that the form is referring to. And then also below the objective is the prompt or the scenario in which you will base your reflections. At the rightmost part of your screen, you will see there the TRF rubric. Again, this will be used by your raters in determining or assessing your reflections, the ones that you put in your TRF form. Okay, and last of the tools, you have here the self-assessment tool or the SAT. So this has been a common tool that was issued to our teachers ever since we rolled out the PPST. This is one of the tools used to assess your performance. So it can be used as a starting point for informal purposes of self-reflection or to clarify performance expectations and determine which competencies to focus on. It can also be used to monitor the progression or improvement of a teacher's competencies and validate whether the interventions provided are effective. So here are a summary list of all the tools that you will need for this school year. You have here a total of 9 supplementary RPMS-PPST tools, which you can download in the link provided on your screen. So again, on your screen, you have there the Google Drive link wherein you can download all references, all supplementary materials that you need for our RPMS implementation. And we remind everyone to again, please double check the email that you are using when you access the Google Drive. Make sure that you are using your official DepEd email address so that you can view or download the resource materials. Okay, now moving on to our frequently asked questions. First, will there be adjustments to the timeline of RPMS-related activities? Our short answer is yes. So as you can see on your screen, you have there a table containing the phases of the RPMS cycle in the first leftmost column, followed by the specific task or activity for each phase of the RPMS cycle. You have there the old schedule as described in DM4 Series 2022. And you have here at the rightmost part the adjusted schedule. So allow me to briefly explain to you the adjustments on the timeline. So in the first phase of our RPMS, the first activity is the start of RPMS cycle and the start of your portfolio collection. You will notice that we retained the old schedule, which is August 1, 2021. The reason being, in our DepEd RPMS guidelines or DO2 Series 2015, when we talk about performance, performance covers an entire year, so a whole year. If it's at the school level, that's an entire school year. When in the case of non-teaching, for central office, regional office, or SDO personnel, that's an entire calendar year. So since we are talking about coverage of performance, there was no need for us to adjust this, because even though the DM4 was released last February 2022, we were still being monitored after every performance period for an entire year. So that's why we retained August 1, 2021. Next activity for phase 1 is the self-assessment with initial development planning. So the old schedule was September 2021, but in our adjusted schedule, we moved this to February 2022 to March 2022 to give time to our teachers, to the school level, to do their SAT and their initial development planning. Next and final activity for phase 1 is the capacity building activity or the presentation of RPMS tools in the time of COVID-19. So originally, this was scheduled from September to December 2021, but now the adjusted schedule will be Feb 2022 to March 2022. Again, to allow for flexibility for our teachers to have more time in, or even our RPMS focals to do their respective capacity building activities. Next, for phase 2, you have here performance monitoring and coaching. Our first activity or task is the monitoring and coaching. So the old schedule has also been retained. The monitoring and coaching process will still go from August 2021 to July 2022. Same reason as our first activity. When we talk about monitoring and coaching, we monitor the entire performance for the whole year, for the whole school year, or for the whole calendar year. That's why we retained it. Next activity, mid-year review with development planning. Originally, it was set for Feb 2022, but now we adjusted it from March 2022 to April 2022. So at this point in time, when you are watching this, your respective school should already be conducting your mid-year review activities. Moving on to phase 3, performance review and evaluation. You have there the year-end review, which happens a week after scheduled graduation. So, and we retain that same schedule since we are still in the middle of the school year. And for phase 4, the performance rewarding and development planning, we have there your ways forward development planning. We also retain that it should be conducted a week after graduation. And then lastly, the IPCRF data collection, we also retain that this should be done a month after your respective graduation ceremonies. So please take note of the adjusted RPMS timeline on your screens. Okay, next, what are the weights per objective? So recently, we issued DMHROD-2022-0189 or the updates on the RPMS-PPST for school year 2021-2022. Because in the DM4 Series 2022, we were not able to include the weight allocation per objective. But through this memo signed by Yusek Cabral, dated Feb 15, 2022, on your screen you will see there that objectives 1 to 18 is equal to 5%. So 5% per objective. And when you sum all those up, that will be a total of 90%. And for your objective 19, which is your plus factor, that's 10%. For a total weight of 100% for all 19 indicators. So you may be asking, Ms. Bianx, isn't there a provision in DM2 Series 2015 wherein the KRA or the plus factor shouldn't be higher than our main KRA? So that's correct. But if you check on your screen, you have there our summary table of indicators. you will see that the domains 1, 2, 3 until 7 has corresponding KRA equivalents. So when you look at your respective tools, whether proficient or highly proficient, you will see there your KRAs, which also equates to the PPST domains. And below each column, you will see there the total computed weight per KRA or per domain. So for example, in KRA1, all those highlighted in blue are the year 3 or the school year 2021-2022 PPST indicators. And if you sum all of those up, that is equivalent to 20%. Your KRA2 or your domain 2, that is equal to 20% as well. Your KRA3, which is a combination of domain 3, 4, and 5, all of those are equivalent to 20%. And then your KRA4, a combination of domain 6 and 7, that is 30%. So when you add all of these percentages, that equates to 90%, plus the 10% plus factor, which is objective 19, overall you will have 100% a final rating for your respective IPCRFs. Okay, next question. What tool should part-time teacher broadcasters use? Again, we have reiterated this in episode 1 and 2, but we still feel the need to keep on reiterating it just so to avoid confusion at the school level. If you are a part-time teacher, again, if you are a part-time teacher broadcaster, the tool that you will use is the RPMS-PPST tool for regular teachers. So our full-time teacher broadcasters, they are the only ones that can use our RPMS-PPST tool for full-time teacher broadcasters. And what separates them from our part-time teachers is their special order or the reassignment order. Next question. COT1 was conducted prior to the issuance of DM4 Series 2022. Should we redo our COT1? The answer is yes, due to the different set of COIs or classroom observable indicators to be observed for this school year. Nevertheless, only 2 COTs are required for submission. So for the information of our schools, of our raters and ratees who have already conducted their COT1 prior to the release of DM4, I believe it was released sometime around 3rd week or 2nd week of February. If you were able to conduct classroom observation already, then you have to do COT1, because if you use the old indicators, then it wouldn't be applied for this school year. Next, for indicators with Set A and Set B options, do we need to prepare or present all MOVs? The answer is no. Only prepare or present the MOV applicable to your context. So if you remember, we have objectives 9 and 10 that deals with or focuses on very unique learners. So if in case you do not have the learners that are being asked on those specific indicators, then you will have to opt to submit the other set of MOVs. Next, some indicators have multiple MOVs. Do we need to prepare or present all listed MOVs? Again, the answer is no. So if you recall, or if you can check your own RPMS-PPST tools, you will see there that we have indicators that have a long laundry list of MOVs. But take note that some of those MOVs correspond to a specific performance indicator. So even if you have all the listed MOVs, you just need to present the one that is equivalent to the highest rating. So we would like to remind our teachers to read through the listed MOVs and performance indicators. Unless otherwise specified, you will only need to submit one MOV. Can my MOVs be in print or digital form? So MOVs, yes, MOVs may be in the form of either print or digital copies. But this will be subject to your agreement with your respective raters. So please take a note of that. Print or digital, as far as our DepEd memorandum is concerned, you may submit any your MOVs in any form. But again, please double check with your rater if they have a uniform type of MOV to submit in your school. Next, who or what will determine the mode of observation, of classroom observation. So the modality adopted by the school will be the priority mode of observation. For example, my school adopts 2 to 3 learning modalities, or we adopted blended learning for the school year. What do I consider for observation? So first, if online synchronous is one of your modalities, if it's possible in your school, take option 1 or the online synchronous as the sole mode of observation. If online synchronous or option 1 is not possible, then take option 2, the observation of a video or audio lesson. If options 1 and 2 are neither applicable, then that's the time you will take option 3 or observation of a demonstration teaching via LAC. Can I shift between modes of observation? No, you only use one mode of observation for the entire school year. The reason being so that schools are able to manage the modes of observation they adopt, and also to avoid any abuses when we conduct classroom observation. Next, how many observations are required for school year 2021-2022? Again, only a maximum of 2 observations are required for this school year. Can I be observed in a physical classroom setting? Yes, provided that your school is one of the selected schools that successfully passed the school safety assessment for the conduct of limited face-to-face classes. So schools that did not pass the school safety assessment is not allowed to conduct any on-site classroom observation. So again, let us prioritize the health and safety of employees. So even if your school is authorized to conduct online on-site classes, and you are able to foresee any risks or possible challenges that may happen during the conduct of on-site classroom observation, then if you can, let's opt for the other 3 options, either the online synchronous learning, the online synchronous observation, the asynchronous observation, or observation through LAC session. How many observers can be present during the conduct of on-site classroom observation? So based on our RPMS manual, it is recommended that 2 to 3 observers sit for an observation, provided that usual protocols on physical distancing are strictly observed. However, as I mentioned earlier, if challenges in schedules or availability or any potential issue on the safety of the teacher, the observer, or the learner is foreseen, only one observer shall be allowed. Next, will there be an EIPCRF and an ESAT for this school year? The answer is yes. An EIPCRF and an ESAT will be released as soon as both tools have been finalized. So currently, our Etools on the PPST are still under development. So please watch out for our advisory or DepEd memorandum on the release of those tools. Okay, so those are the frequently asked questions for our RPMS-PPST implementation. What's next for the RPMS-PPST? So below are some of the things to look forward to when we talk about RPMS-PPST in the coming year. So first, the development and issuance of the multi-year RPMS-PPST guidelines. So as we keep on mentioning since the start of episode 1, this school year we were able to successfully download all 37 indicators of the PPST. So after the school year, what will happen? Starting school year 2022-2023, we will now begin cycle 2 of the 37 indicators. And in order for DepEd to avoid any delays in the issuance of our PPST indicators, the DepEd through the BHROD will issue the multi-year RPMS-PPST guidelines. Meaning, in the said guidelines, we will be able to map out all the indicators that will be required or set for a specific school year in the next 3 years or 3 cycles. So watch out for our succeeding issuances on this one. Next is the development of an RPMS-PPST tool for our distinguished teachers. So now that we have completed the tool for the proficient and highly proficient teachers, we will now work on the RPMS-PPST tool for our distinguished career stage teachers. Next one, third, capacity building for our raters to maintain credibility and mitigate bias in the performance assessment. So, ever since we have issued the DepEd guidelines on the PPST, we have been focusing on our teachers, on our ratees. But now, since we have completed all 37 indicators and after devoting 4 years on the PPST, focusing on our ratees, we will also now include in our priorities the CAP B for our raters, specifically on how to conduct proper and an objective performance assessment of ratees. Next, implementation of the new system of career progression for teachers and competence-based reclassification process. Next is enhancement and strengthening of PPST-aligned professional development interventions for proficient and highly proficient teachers, and this one is in partnership with NAYAP. So your LND, the LND interventions of teachers or their professional development interventions, we will be working with our NAYAP family to improve the various LND interventions that we can give to our teachers. And then lastly, we plan to also move towards the digitalization of our RPMS tools and the development of a national database for teacher performance. And that is it for our ways forward. So
my warmest greetings to all of you, my dear teachers and school heads. The Philippine Professional Standards for Teachers is a commitment of DepEd, a commitment to ensure that graduates of basic education are equipped with the desired values and competencies that will enable them to contribute meaningfully to nation building. And it is also one of our biggest challenges, a challenge that was further magnified by the pandemic. In the past few days, your resource persons have oriented you on the key features and processes of the RPMS-PPST for this school year. And they have presented and discussed the updates on the RPMS-PPST indicators, the tools, the processes, and the timelines for school year 2021-2022. The adoption of distance learning, alternative strategies, and now the gradual shift back to face-to-face classes continues to impact teachers in the demonstration of the expected competencies and proficiency levels of the PPST. But as you may have noticed, this year's updates or changes in the RPMS-PPST are not as extreme as they seem to be. That is because we at the BHROD and our partners from the Research Center for Teacher Quality and select RPMS focals teachers and master teachers from the field ensured that these changes shall not be of any burden to you, but rather help you do what you do best, and that is to teach with quality. And last school year, I already said this when we conducted the national broadcast of the RPMS-PPST, but I will repeat this again for this year because it is still worth mentioning. As teachers, your only job is to teach and to mold the minds of our future generations. So it is our responsibility at the central office, the regional office, and the schools division offices to ensure that you have the necessary tools and support that you need in order to make you more effective, whether it be inside the classroom or behind a computer screen. So at this point, I'd like to call the attention of all of our teachers in RPMS focals in the field. To our teachers, our ratees, we encourage you to maximize the materials we have provided in our DepEd Memorandum number 4 series of 2022 so that you have a better appreciation and understanding of the requirements of this year's RPMS-PPST. And this will lead you to improve your existing teaching competencies and strategies to further enhance your teaching practice. And to our raters, the school heads, the master teachers, the education program specialists, please ensure that regular and consistent monitoring and coaching, or mentoring and coaching, be provided to your teachers. Please mold them into quality teachers who are properly equipped and prepared to take on the roles and functions of a K-12 teacher as defined in our Philippine professional standards for teachers. And to all of our RPMS focals, whether you are at the central office, the regional office, or division office level, I'm calling upon all of you to please continue our mission to improve teacher quality by providing the needed support mechanisms and developmental interventions for our teachers. Prior to the release of this orientation videos, we have received numerous information from the field that they have already initiated their own orientation and capacity building activities based on the DepEd Memorandum Number 4 series of 2022. And with that, I'd like to personally commend and congratulate all of you who have taken initiative to inform the respective schools, most especially their teachers. I trust that your resource persons and RPMS focals at the division and school levels are well equipped to orient you on the details of this year's RPMS-PPST guidelines. At the national level, please ensure that we are working tirelessly on the development of supplementary video materials, as well as your electronic tools on the individual performance commitment and review form, or IPCRF, and the self-assessment tool, or the SAT, all of which shall be added to your existing PPST references and resource materials. In the meantime, we at the BHROD will continue to further improve our existing HR systems, not just the RPMS or the results-based performance management systems, but also our recruitment, selection, placement, or RSP, the learning and development, L&D, and the rewards and recognition, or R&R, for our employees, because those are the embedding of the framework for teacher quality, and that's the Philippine professional standards for teachers. Although as one DepEd, our main commitment is to our learners. Please know that at the BHROD, kayo po yun. Kayong mga guro, our teachers, our workforce, where our commitment lies. It is you who we think of whenever we come up with new policies and mechanisms to make sure that you will be the best in what you do, and that is teaching. To our dear teachers, our dear school heads, and the entire DepEd family, it has been 2 years since the pandemic struck our nation, and I'm very happy and proud to see that in the past 2 years, we adopted and came out the other side stronger than before. Everyone here has been a source of strength and hope during these trying times, not just for one another, but for the entire Department of Education as well. All of us in the Department of Education, whether we are at the central office, the regional office, schools division offices, or schools, know that each and every one of us, especially our teachers, serve as our light and serve as proof of our success in everything that we do for our country, for our learners. And with that, muli, maraming salamat.